What's going on, all you mutants and freaks out there? Welcome back to the Nerdwide podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Haynes, with my good friend and fellow mutant and freak, Chris Rivers.
What?
Yeah, you know.
Who
Try something
who
new.
who told you? Uh,
How'd you find out?
how's it going?
Good, man. It's been a busy week, but it's been good. Like, my youngest graduated preschool, so a lot of
I
money that
saw it.
just
I
comes
saw
right
it.
back into my bank account now, and I can't
I
wait.
saw it. They had so can't remember if it was you or Jamie that shared the pictures online, but it was caps and gowns and everything, and I
Oh,
was like,
and
wow,
and everything. It was
they
that
do
was
it up these days.
God. It's it's basic white girl stuff. I'm just gonna say it. And then I said, okay, awesome, we're done. Zoe graduates high school next year. She goes, yeah, and Stella will graduate kindergarten. I said, let's bring that back. What do you mean graduates kindergarten? She goes, yeah, that's what they do now. I said,
Uh,
Jamie, she's going to the same school next year. Preschool, sure, I get it, whatever. But kindergarten, you're just going to a different hallway at the same school.
yeah,
What are we graduating? No. So, whatever. I'll jump over that bridge next year when we get there. Dude, but it's been good. How about you? How has your week been? I know we had some fun texts Friday. No, was it yesterday? It was yesterday.
yesterday I think. Yeah, yeah. So I've started the moving process. Um, it, it's fun, right? There's parts of it that are fun. There's parts of it that are a little bit stressful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still waiting on some of the furniture to arrive and stuff like that. So I'm not completely set up, so I haven't been able to completely move in. I don't get my internet turned on till tomorrow.
Mm,
So
that's when the fun starts. Is when the internet's in.
yeah,
At least for me, because that's when I get to play with everything that I want to play with and do things with. So.
yeah, yeah. So going with Comcast on that, and because I want to keep the option available should I decide to get their new streaming bundle,
Yeah, it's
and I can do that. The only bad thing about that bundle is that from what I read, it's just going to be the ad supported. It's
mm,
not going to be ad free.
well, it's at this point, like, I don't notice a lot anymore. Like, I've been watching a lot of House of the Dragon, because June is a huge month for TV shows. Like, especially for us, we have The Boys coming out. House of the Dragon starts up this month as well, so I've been rewatching it at work, which it's Buffer City, but it is what it is because I'm not really paying attention. And we've got HBO Max with ads, and I haven't. I don't know if it's because I'm watching it mainly at work. I just really haven't paid attention to it, but
Mhm.
you know,
I just feel like a lot of the shows these days don't put in a spot for proper ad
correct.
breaks.
The Prime Video is one of those,
Yeah, so it's
and
just like it stops and goes to an ad, and you're like,
mm-hmm.
what happened?
And I refuse. Like, I'm pretty hard headed when it comes to this kind of stuff. I refuse to pay more for Prime Video when I'm not getting anything new than I did. Let's say 5 years from now. Like, I feel like my Amazon Prime is worse with deliveries being every 2 days or whatever. And now they put ads in there. I'm like, I'm not paying you guys any more money, and I'll just deal with it and hate it. I did it with Invincible. I hated it because I didn't put the ad breaks in there, and I just know they're going to for The Boys because, I mean, The Boys was what they finished filming last year, late last year.
And they could do some very entertaining ad
Mm-hmm.
breaks on the boys.
Right, and you could even do it like where it's seamless to people who have the ad free version, but for the ads, it would. I feel like it'd be like a lot of the explosion scenes with the blood and guts. Just end it right there on someone's face. Be oh, what?
Well,
Why are we
they
even
they
working in a studio?
they could even break the fourth wall
Yes.
with the way that that's done, and have some of the characters like Homelander, for instance, just look at the camera and just introduce an ad break.
Right.
You don't
See,
even need.
oh, now you're talking, Chris. I like where your
I
brain's
know it.
at.
I like it in my head too.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
the, up here's a little nuts. I'm just, woo. I don't know if it's ADD, ADHD. Anyways, welcome everybody to the Nerdwide podcast. We have a bunch of new listeners, a lot of new downloads recently. We just want to say welcome in. This is the Nerdwide podcast. We cover TV and movies mainly. We do fun little segments every now and then. We're doing our Heroes and Douche Canoe for our TV shows, which is X-Men 97 and My Adventures with Superman. We've got The Boys Season 4 coming up, so make sure you're tuned in for all of that. We do Spoilerful on all of those, and we also do a movie review every week. We do a lot of fun things throughout the year. At the beginning of the year, we just got finished with, I guess last month, 2 months ago, was our Oscars movie rewatch. We watched all of the Best Picture nominees for the Oscars of the year. And then at the end of the year, we do our Halloween Horror Fest where we throw in a bunch of movies. I pick 10 movies. It's just about, I think it's like 15 now. Chris picks 15. My wife picks 15. We put it into a random generator and it picks movies for each week. We watch 2 movies and talk about it. I don't do horror. Chris is our master of horror, our horror aficionado. And so it's a lot of fun watching a lot of these cult classics and then reacting to them. I will never watch Hereditary ever again. And that movie has cursed me, and I still think about it. Even to this day, you and I were texting yesterday, and you said something in the text message about my old Facebook profile. You said it'll still haunt you forever or something like that, and all I could think about was that girl up in the ceiling. Anyways, it's again, my brain's twisted. So
you say that you're not horror, right? But you've been like lately. You picked up the Friday the 13th 8-movie collection. You're like, I can't wait to get into these.
Yes.
You've unlocked that side of yourself.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I like those. I guess it's the slasher.
Yeah.
More so than it. I don't do ghost and demon things. So like, Sinister is going to be out for me. That's one, and like the Sinister series and then the Conjuring series. I'm not to that level yet because I just can't. Like I will not sleep. I will fetal position. I mean, Hereditary was, I think, my limit because that was horrifying. And I wish you were here to see my reaction to it all. I mean, to bring it back, I had a pillow and I was watching like half of the screen with my pillow. And of course, that was a half the screen. She was up on the ceiling. But, oh, it was horrifying. But we do fun segments like that here on the Nerdwide podcast, and mainly just bring you some TV news and movie news whenever we get to the chance to do those. We got some this week that pertains to a lot of the shows and movies we've talked about, and we're really excited about that. So if you are listening, thank you so much for coming in. Let us know where you're listening to because the app that we're using is Podbean, and I can't really figure out where everyone's at. We were talking before the show, and it looks like a lot of people are coming from Safari, so I would imagine that's Apple Podcast app or some equivalent or whatever. Some from Spotify and then some from Google Chrome. But we just welcome you in. We do have a YouTube channel. We do trailer reacts and some book reviews there as well. So make sure you subscribe to us over on the YouTube side of things. It's easier to connect with you guys. And we put this fancy little overlay here with all our logos and our socials down below and things like that. So it's a lot of fun over on the YouTube side of things. I think that's it for the welcome in. Quick housekeeping before we do jump into our very exciting week of TV shows and movie. Don't forget to subscribe to either our YouTube or podcasting service of your choice. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you leave us a thumbs up or YouTube or give us a great rating on whatever podcasting service you do use. If you don't enjoy what you see or hear, make sure you leave us a comment down below. Let us know how we can fix or improve the show. We can't fix it if we don't know if it's broken. It's the simplest thing and the simplest way I can explain that. If you always want to do more, you can always go to patreon.com/nerdwide. 3 different monthly annual subscription values for 3 different tiered things. If you want to get the episodes early, if you want to recommend shows for us to watch, books, movies, games, and that kind of stuff, Patreon is the way to do it. It also helps us out here at Nerdwide Podcast, and we greatly appreciate it if you do. That being said, Chris, TV-wise, I talked about watching House of the Dragon Season 1 rewatch. Have you been watching anything?
No, not really. Not TV-wise. I've been watching some stuff on YouTube and, getting caught up there on some of the channels I like. So that's been it.
It's a big week for gaming. It's E3 week, or Summer Games Fest is what it is now. Ubisoft's got their show, so I'm really excited to see some more Assassin's Creed, which I've already got the collector's edition pre-ordered. So I mean, they really don't need to show me anything else. And then I'm hoping for a lot of good things. And Xbox is a week from today on Sunday, and they're gonna have to bring it. It's just simple as can be, because they're going to have to do something different if not. So,
well, plus we've got this week EA started dropping gameplay footage for EA College Football.
And it looks so good. That's this month, isn't it? Or is that July?
It comes out July.
Is it
19th?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's early July then. Yeah. Oh god, dude.
I did the pre-order.
So good.
I did the pre-order, so I'll be getting it a few days early.
Like a couple days early, and blah blah. I can't say anything because I'm doing the same thing for Assassin's Creed. So, all right. Without further ado, let us talk about X-Men '97, Episode 5. Quite possibly the best episode of animated TV I have seen since maybe Invincible Season 1, because dear Lord, was this really, really, really well done. Let's go to comicbook.com. We're going to Jenna Anderson for this review. And again, we are full on spoilers for all you audio listeners. News reporter Trish Tilby interviews members of the X-Men, including Beast and Cyclops. And Cyclops' interview grows awkward before the topic shifts to his and Jean's love story. Meanwhile, Jean continues to untangle her powers and memories as Logan comforts her. Shocker. Jean and Cyclops simultaneously tell the story of the moment they realize they loved each other. Jean kisses Logan, but he insists that she belongs to Cyclops. Cyclops is then interrogated by Trish about Nathan's birth and grows upset about the circumstances that led to him abandoning his son.
Now I have a question.
Yes.
Jean and Cyclops, they're remembering but they're remembering it differently.
Correct.
So, and it's not just really their perceptions. There's things that they talk about. It's like they clearly remember this event completely differently.
And it's well, I like this whole interview thing, because then like it tonally shifts with him abandoning his son, like him realizing that he's still going through this grief and struggle, essentially because Nathan's dead essentially to him, and he's going through all this grief, and he's getting interviewed by what was her name, Trish. Very well done. But then we get to the real good parts of the episode. Meanwhile, Rogue, Gambit, and Magneto travel to Genosha, which has now become a mutant paradise filled with mutants such as Leech, Dazzler, Boom Boom, and Galab. They prepare for the United Nations Gala to induct Genosha. They are greeted by Madeline Pryor, who has become a member of Genosha's council, as well as Nightcrawler, who is helping Genosha's various religions. Very cool. So him seeing Rogue and Gambit, and it felt like, oh, this is friends we've missed for a while and haven't seen. The council assembles made of Emma Frost, Moira McTaggart, Sebastian Shaw, and question whether or not Magneto is the ideal fit to be the Genosha's chancellor. He agrees to accept the position as long as Rogue rules as his queen. Shocker. Who didn't see that coming?
It's kind of awkward.
Yes.
So, because he's forcing the situation.
He's smart. He knows what he's doing.
It's Magneto, but...
Jean and Scott reminisce about Nathan, only for it to be Madeline who is psychically communicating with him. Scott tells the real Jean that he's been psychically speaking to her for about a month, and she questions if he really even loves her anymore. Suddenly, Jean is shot through the head with a sort of psychic blast. That was awkward. I mean, it's like... hey, so sorry, Jean, I've been talking to your clone for about a month psychically, and she's all like, that used to be our thing. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Poor Cyclops, because that's an awkward situation going on there.
Yeah, because they don't even know for sure, right, when they swapped. So he doesn't know how much of his experiences with Jean were with Madeline or with Jean herself.
God, so awkward. Poor guy. Rogue visits Gambit, who is suiting up for the gala, and tells him of her romantic past with Magneto, which was eventually broken up over his trauma. Rogue argues she can never truly be with Gambit, and he agrees to stay friends with her. Much better man than I could have been. The gala takes place, and Dr. Cooper takes issue with Magneto being chosen as Genosha's leader. Rogue shows up to the gala, and she and Magneto dance while being able to touch each other. But she ultimately argues that her connection is deeper with Gambit. Well, all right, Rogue, what do you want here?
So I felt like that was maybe it was just me misunderstanding the scene, but I felt like when she and Gambit are talking that she's essentially going down the road of she still wants everything to stay the same with Gambit.
Yeah,
But Magneto's who she needs to physically be with,
right.
and Gambit's like, well, I'll be your friend, but that's it.
Yeah, which
And walks off.
yeah.
And now she's kind of, he puts her in a place where, oh, no, you're going to have to pick.
Mm-hmm. And
Uh,
then, oh, and then she ultimately does pick, but we really don't see the ramifications for that. And by what I mean by that is we also see Madeline is also shot with a psychic blast and is greeted by Cable, who tells everyone to evacuate, apologizes to her, and then disappears. I want to put a pause there or a pin in it. I did not know. I did not know that Cable was Nathan. I had
mm-hmm.
no idea of that. Like I just guess I glossed over it, forgot about it. Or X-Men's not really been my side of the superheroes as more so as the Avengers have been. But that was like a jaw dropping part for me because Madeline goes, "Oh my sweet boy, I see your eyes." I was like, oh, "It's Nathan." Oh, so cool, man. And then he gets like forcefully pulled back to the future, and apparently there's more to that. We'll see going forward. I've been told. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Suddenly, the gala is attacked by a giant sentinel. Rogue, Gambit, and Magneto work to fight it off, but are unable to do so without freeing the Morlocks first. They make it to the Morlocks, and Magneto protects them, even as the Sentinel prepares to obliterate them. This whole scene, this was the one that I texted you right when it ended. And I was like, holy hell, like this is probably some of the best TV I've seen in a long time. The
Yeah.
the music building to the theme and with
Mm-hmm.
it being very subtle in the background. The animation was wonderful. They did not pull any punches on gore and sense of dread and death that was going on in this episode. And I mean, a lot of people died. Like a lot of people died.
A lot of
Uh,
people.
and then you get the like where Magneto is pushed into the Charles Xavier's statue. It falls down, crushes a bunch of people. Magneto has this like um, mental break where we see flashes of them, and then we go back to him with the Holocaust and back to his old people, and he said, "I will avenge them," or I forget what his exact words were, but it was essentially, "I will avenge them." And he snaps and throws a whole subway train into the Sentinel and starts using it as a whip and then just hitting it. It was so damn good. And then
Mm-hmm.
he's protecting Leech with the Morlocks, and then he forces Gambit and Rogue to a pole, wraps them around so they wouldn't interfere because the blast was too much even for him, and he was going to stop it. Eventually, he gets blasted back from it. Um, let's see, Gambit runs towards the Sentinel as it nearly zaps the entire island and then gets stabbed in the side by one of its tendrils. Gambit uses his power to zap the tendril in the entire Sentinel, successfully destroying it. Awesome. I mean, Rogue snaps too, tears crying down her face because she thinks Magneto's dead. She's flying in. Here comes Gambit with his motorcycle, throws the motorcycle at Rogue, knocks her off the path, runs up, jumps up, gets stabbed, and he says, "My name is Gambit, remember it," and then dies.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We think.
Oh, dude, absolutely awesome.
We
Um,
think he
right.
could be dead.
The team back at the mansion watches in horror as the aftermath is covered on the news. Rogue and the remaining mutants crowd around Gambit as Rogue sobs and remarks that she can't feel him. Oh, I had to, like I told you, last night me and my buddy Justin rewatched this because the Watcher is actually in this episode
Mm-hmm.
of the show, which I don't think I've got no, I don't have it up or where we could, but it's right before the gala in the night sky. You can see him on the left side of the screen, like looking down because it's one of those fixed points in the multiverse. And oh god, it's just so good. And then her grabbing his cheek because like all it shows is like the bottom half of his face is bloody and black and everything, just burnt. And she says, "I can't feel him. I cannot feel Gambit." Or what she? I think she says something in French or Creole. and it was just so good. And Jamie was
Well,
like, "That's a little awkward." I was like,
did,
"No, it's love." Oh, so good.
did she say Mon ami?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what she
Because
says?
that's what he
Yeah.
calls her.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good, man. This episode, like 5 out of 5. I've got no notes. Like everything from the beginning of it to the very end was jaw dropping. Like even after the explosion, they did zero sound, so like you knew what happened. You already could tell what was going on, and it was. I love how they used the music for the show. Like when Gambit bursts into the room to save the Morlocks, and then it's full on the X-Men '97 theme was
Hmm.
so good. Oh god, this episode was phenomenal. Just no
Yeah.
notes.
Yeah. Now the if you go back to watch the scene with the Watcher, it's a faint outline.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was when I first watched it, I thought it was a glare on my screen. Like I didn't pay any attention to it. And
Yeah.
then Justin showed me. He goes, "No, no, the Watcher's in this episode." I said, "No, he's not." And I was like, "Oh, someone just put said something." Sure enough, go back and rewatch it, and you can see the gifts. You can search it online, and I mean, it's Watcher. So very cool. I love it, and I love how they did that. God, I've been waiting a couple days to talk to you about that. All right, episode 6. Yes, just double checking. We're going back to Jenna Anderson on comicbook.com for this one. And this is called Life and Death Part 2, which we did talk about this last week.
Mm-hmm.
Finally getting back to it. But this was also just as good, I feel like. No,
We got a big reveal.
we got a couple big reveals, I feel like. We got a costume change.
Yeah.
And hair and wardrobe and everything. But
Yeah.
the big thing, we show up like we had a like MCU ties into this as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we're starting off. A cosmic battle occurs between the Kree and the Shi'ar until the Imperial Guard show up and intervene. Deathbird is about to deliver the final blow to the Kree until a message from Empress Lalandra interrupts, announcing her marriage to none other to Charles Xavier. Still alive, like just plucked and still. Oh, come on. Privately, Lilandra, I'm going to say her name different every time I know, and I apologize. Lilandra and Charles disagree about whether or not the Shi'ar will embrace him and whether or not he should return to the X-Men. Lilandra suggests that Charles deserves a life without the X-Men. In a public meeting, Deathbird calls out Charles as an unfit person to rule alongside her sister. She evokes an ancient rite which requires Charles to wipe his memory of his past on Earth. Charles agrees to this, and Lilandra carries out the memory wipe until they get to the topic of the X-Men, and Charles refuses. My thing is, how do you, like, if you're Lilandra, how are you okay with this? Because if you're erasing everything about him from Earth, you're erasing him.
Right.
He's not the same person anymore. So, I really don't get that.
No, it doesn't make sense. But I don't. Maybe we're just not supposed to look that deep into it.
Maybe. So, it's a show, so it's in the script. Um, a fight ensues, which is only broken up once Charles transports the players to the classroom on the astral plane. Badass. I love this scene.
Yeah.
While there,
Right.
he argues that the Shi'ar's penchant for imperialism is ruining the galaxy. He is then overcome by a vision of a dead Gambit, which informs him that something has gone wrong with the mutants on Earth. He wakes up in the real world and admits he needs to return home to his X-Men. So cool. Like I love this the classroom scene because he even puts an apple in that one chick's mouth. What's her name? Deathstrike, Deathclaw, whatever it is. And God, am I missing this? Deathbird. Anyways, puts an apple in her because she just kept talking and talking. But the council was coming away, coming around to his thinking and everything. But Lilandra says, if you go now, they'll never accept you. We're this close to getting them to understand. And he says, I have to get home. It's so good because hell, the whole country just got blown up. So, whatever. Meanwhile, Storm tends to an injured and poisoned Forge as the adversary continues to taunt her about her fears, including her claustrophobia. Forge wakes up to intervene, utilizing magic taught to him from his mother, which, I don't know if you noticed this, Chris, looked awfully lot like Doctor Strange's magic. Because like the whole little, not portal, but the runes and the orange and whatever we call it, spell circle.
Yep.
Let's see. Forge then tells her of a magical cactus that could reverse his condition, and she plans to have them travel to get it together. They travel into a dark cave, and Storm remarks that it might have been a blessing in disguise that she doesn't have her powers. Storm travels into the cave, overcoming her claustrophobia until she gets stuck in very close quarters without her flashlight. The adversary taunts her over her self-loathing, and Storm begins to harness her powers to overcome the situation. She succeeds, creating a weather anomaly that can be seen from space and re-emerging in her black 90s costume. She flies to the skies and successfully gets the antidote to save Forge. She admits that, in a way, she's thankful for the lesson that the adversary taught her. She and Forge try to figure out what's next for them until she sees a news broadcast about the attack on Genosha. Bolivar Trask is chased by a man, Mr. Sinister, who teases that Genosha was only the beginning to all of his plans. So Mr. Sinister's our big bad.
Yeah.
This season.
Not surprising.
No. And I thought he was done after the episode where we got Jean back. But, oh, no. He blew everybody up. So, good show. Yep. I mean, I'm excited. Like, I'm all in on it now. I mean, after that, episode 5 is just so good. And this one was good, too, with the Charles Xavier stuff, because I had no idea he was still alive. So,
right.
On to our next one. My Adventures with Superman, Season 2, Episode 3. We're going to comicbook.com to Nick Valdez for this recap. Let's see. All right, Superman rushes into a burning building, and when overwhelmed by flames, a glowing aura takes over his body, and he's able to easily make it through the fire to save the person inside. We see this person is introduced as himself as Silas Stone, but Superman has to help more people before finding out more. We have a lot of DC lore in this episode. Right. A lot of people, even from our Superman and Lois days, are introduced to this. And it's very cool because he says his name is Silas Stone. I said, oh, and then he talked about his, 10-year-old, 14-year-old son? It was one of those two.
Was it 10?
It might be 10. So I'm like, okay, we're far off from Cyborg ever making an appearance. But then, what's up with this weird power? Like, does it make him invulnerable, but he's already invulnerable? I didn't really understand that because it didn't really explain much.
Yeah.
So
maybe next episode.
Man, what Jack Quaid? What a phenomenal actor. Good for him. Livewire emerges from the alleyway to confront Silas, and it's implied that she's the one that started the fire. Then, threatening his son, Silas deletes a video from his phone and promises to keep his mouth shut. Following the opening credits, a company called Emertech reveals in an ad that they're opening a new development plant in Metropolis. Meanwhile, Jimmy is struggling to keep a handle on his Flamebird interns, managing General Lane, not cleaning up after himself, and keeping Clark's hero secret under wraps until he loses it. It's even more awkward for Clark as General Lane keeps noticing how Clark is disappearing at all hours of the night and constantly being late to meet up with his daughter. Awkward situation anyways. Don't really understand that. He says, what did he call him? He called him his name. And he says, General. Like, buddy, you're sitting here 6 PBRs deep on the couch of your daughter's boyfriend. Come on. It is roommate. It ain't no general about this.
Jimmy just can't keep up either. He's
well, he's got 11-year-olds as interns. So.
Yeah, that too.
Clark and Lois still haven't talked about his developments with his cousins because of their busy lives. Again, gets on my nerves. But, can't have a show without it. Meanwhile, Lois attends an Emertech press conference where its boss, Thomas Weston, reveals the Metallo. A machine with strength greater than Superman's and the firepower of a tank. Powered by the company's own fusion reactors, the first demonstration fails. Lois asks why John Irons, who has been the public face of Emertech and who was seen in the opening ad, is missing from this event. Interesting. John Henry Irons. Competing with Vicky Vale for a potential scoop on the event, Lois ends up trying to sneak into Emertech while Vale makes her way in. Meanwhile, Clark is all out of ideas for an article that he's late for, and things get even more complicated when Jimmy reveals that Flamebird's young interns have followed up on a mysterious voicemail warning about killer robots in the area. Lois is Ed, she and Vale sneak into Emertech and found a destroyed lab. The two of them then decide to figure out what the company is hiding, but are competing to be the first to find it out. Clark as Superman, and Jimmy then investigate the message and it leads to Dr. John Irons' apartment. He reveals that when he and Stone had been hired for Amertech, he had developed a special mech suit meant to help first responders. But Weston instead rushed them on production of the Metallos despite their flaw in the core, making them unstable. He shows them footage that when more than one activates, they hit critical mass and explode. Then Irons warns Weston that the larger core they've built is essentially a giant bomb. This is the footage that Stone was forced to delete in the beginning of the episode, as Weston has paid off Livewire and others to hide the evidence. This leads to Livewire herself attacking the apartment after Lois and Vicky arrive and destroying the evidence herself instead. Quickly heading to Amertech, Superman and Irons team up to stop the reactor, but Weston tries to stop them by activating the fleet of Metallos. Awesome. I mean, he is in his steel suit and everything with the hammer. Awesome. He even mentions his niece, his 14-year-old niece.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, so cool.
It seems like that we get Livewire a lot across these shows.
I don't know if she's just like an interesting character to have or what's up with that. But I mean, I'm about it. She's awesome.
Yeah.
Superman's overwhelmed, but soon he's saved by Irons, who is wearing the steel mech suit that he was developing. They now need to destroy the pillars around the nuclear core to get its energy to diminish, but soon it starts going haywire as it absorbs the energy of the Metallos. Using his energy-based aura powers, Superman then touches the core and tries to contain it from exploding. Irons is then able to destroy the pillars to keep the core from exploding and everyone's safe and sound. After the commotion, Vicky celebrates sharing her story, only for Lois to reveal she actually put one out first. It's here Vicky offers her a job working with her after everything she's done to show she's got the goods, but it would mean leaving Metropolis behind in order to move up in the world. Clark and Lois still don't get really any time to talk about things in their life, like Clark's cousin and Lois potentially moving away someday. But through all of this, Clark is inspired for his Daily Planet article. Clark writes on how Irons saved the city from its destruction, and it seems like it's going to be a happy ending until Irons is stopped from using his mech suit to clean up the mess at Amertech. Lex Luthor arrives and reveals that he's bought Amertech and its technology have been bought by LexCorp, including Irons' mech suit. As the episode ends, we see Amanda Waller and Lex looking over the fleet of unfinished Metallos. Wonderful. God, this show is just so good, man. But I want to get into it. What else is good is our segment we have here on the Nerdwide podcast called The Heroes and Douche Canoe of the Week. We go through each of these episodes, decide who of all three of them for this week, who is the hero and who is the douche canoe. We're going to start at the bottom here. We'll start with Superman and we'll start with douche canoe. Do we have a candidate besides General Lane and or LexCorp at the end? But technically, I mean, Lex didn't really do anything. I mean, you could say Thomas Weston, just for not giving a crap at all about blowing anything up.
Yeah. I don't know. I General Lane is being, I think, more douchey than...
Yeah, just being a couch potato and just sitting there. Like I said, like 6 PBRs deep, just watching there, making remarks on Clark's lives. I mean, it's...
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Episode 5 of X-Men. Do we... maybe? For playing their feelings? But I mean, I don't really feel like there was really one for this episode.
No, I don't think so. I mean, you could... No, probably not.
Yeah. It's just like, it's just a very straightforward bad guy kind of thing. We never saw who was the bad guy. Now episode 6, Deathbird, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Deathbird.
She was an AS.
Yeah.
As they say.
AY.
Yeah.
ESSSS.
So we're between General Lane, Weston, and Deathbird.
Yeah.
So we've narrowed it down. Let's think. Deathbird with the quippy remarks, trying to break up a relationship because she's dating a Terran.
Well, she also wants the throne.
She also wants the throne as well. More... I say I'm okay with Deathbird. She might be our only one. That's be her only time
Yeah,
being the douche canoe. Um,
I'm good with that.
okay.
Deathbird.
Deathbird. So we've got our douche count. Of course, we go through the whole entire calendar year for our douche and heroes canoe. So far, we've got Marie from the Gen V at 1, General Docs at 1, Rufus
Everybody.
from 1, Kate 1, Allison 1, Nolan 1, Waller from last week at 1, and now Deathbird.
Everybody has one. I don't
Yeah.
think anyone's been named twice to either of these.
Mm-mm. Not yet. Not yet. Although I don't think we're gonna get Gen V this year.
I think it's going to be tough to beat the first person that comes up for hero,
Yeah.
which is Gambit.
Yeah. I mean, I'd without a doubt. I mean, because you can make it a case for Irons, but
Yeah,
Gambit died, quote unquote,
as far as we know.
as far as we know. So I'm down for Gambit as well. This could be his only one as well. Hero count. We've got Mobius at 1, Derek for 1, Emma for 1, Timely for 1, Marie for 1, Mark 1, and Jor-El 1 from last week. And now Gambit. Notable news that we would like to talk about with you all. A young Sherlock series is moving forward at Prime Video with Guy Ritchie to direct, and its hero, Phineas Tiffin, is set to star as an 18-year-old Sherlock.
18-year-old Sherlock. I wonder if they'll get Benedict Cumberbatch to
What
guest
these
in
these
some
the
way.
same people from the Sherlock Holmes movies with Robert Downey Jr.
Oh,
So,
well, there you go.
so
They need something with all the Sherlocks. Do like a
yes,
multiverse.
they
And
they missed it with Infinity War and Endgame. They missed all their beats. I mean, they could have even said like no shit Sherlock or something. You know what I mean? And that would be perfect. But we didn't get that, so it's fine. It's whatever. Releases this week, Tuesday, June 4th. Star Wars: The Acolyte launches on Disney Plus. I'm really excited about this one. I need to watch Ahsoka, and I got so much I got to catch up on as far as the Star Wars universe. But I'm so far in like my nerdy fantasy stuff, Vikings and House of the Dragon, and I just can't. So
right. Okay. Movies.
movies,
Movies. You watched anything else?
no, but I
No.
am challenging myself with this hectic week to watch Godzilla minus one, which is now on Netflix. They surprise dropped it. It's the most pirated movie of all time, and now it's on Netflix. So for
So
those of you,
basically, it was, hey, it's out there anyway. Let's go ahead and officially release it and
yeah,
make money off of it.
yeah. So I'm really excited because I love the Godzilla, the MonsterVerse, whatever you call all that stuff. And this one was up for several Oscars this year as well. So I'm really excited to watch it. And actually, I think it did win some Oscars. I think at least one for visual
Yeah.
effects maybe or something. But I'm really excited to watch it. But no, I have not watched anything. Have you?
Nope. Nope. I've been busy, so. Uh, all right, so let's get to Deadpool 2 here. I'd not seen this in a while. It
Yeah,
was probably,
I've only seen it once,
yeah.
unfortunately.
And it performed very well again.
It
They
was a
had a
good
budget.
sequel.
They had a budget on this of 110 million. The box office was 785.8 million.
No wonder they want to keep making them. Hell, I would too.
So I think they made their money back.
Yeah.
All right. After fighting organized crime as Deadpool for 2 years, Wade Wilson fails to kill one of his targets on his anniversary with his girlfriend Vanessa. That night, after the pair decides to start a family together, the target tracks Wade down and inadvertently kills Vanessa. Wade then kills him in revenge. 6 weeks later, Wade is still wallowing in self-hatred. Now, I love the kill when he revenge kills this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Because he hugs him, and then he throws both of them in front of a bus.
So good.
And you just see the blood streak on the ground.
It's so good. Like, a lot of their creative decisions in this movie are stuff that I could have never thought about. That's why, like, Ryan Reynolds is just, he's with it mentally. Like, even the end credit scene. uh, him going through the past and changing things. It's like I would have never thought of to do things that way, and then a lot of the jokes that land are really good. Mainly the baby legs scene. Just the whole thing was perfect. Oh man, I loved it.
And I love their gifts to one another for their
Yes.
anniversary. Like he gives her a token from when their first date when they played skee ball,
Mm-hmm.
and she gives him her IUD.
Dude, they're gonna start having a baby. I mean, God.
Uh, he Wade visits Blind Al, where she warns him not to do anything stupid. He rejects this advice, of course, because he's Wade,
Mm-hmm.
and attempts suicide by blowing himself up, which is how they actually open the movie. Wade has a vision of Vanessa in the afterlife but remains alive due to his healing abilities. Colossus brings Wade, in pieces by the way, to the X Mansion to recruit him. Wade's left with only a skee ball token and anniversary gift as a final memento of Vanessa. Recovering at the X Mansion, Wade reluctantly agrees to join the X-Men because he believes Vanessa would have wanted him to. He, Colossus, and Negasonic Teenage Warhead, they really need to rename, respond to a standoff between authorities and the unstable young mutant Russell
Oh,
Collins at an orphanage owned by the Essex Corporation.
but there was
What?
something before then. At the
Mm-hmm.
X Mansion, we see all of the other X Men in a room, and he's walking through. He says, "Well, we couldn't. We didn't have the budget or something like that." And you see him in the room, and they just shut the door. It's so funny, man. He said, "Why is it just you two here?"
Uh, the orphanage is labeled a mutant re-education center.
Mm.
Realizing Russell has been abused by the orphanage staff, Wade kills one of the staff members before being restrained by Colossus, and both Wade and Russell are arrested. Fitted with power-suppressing collars, they're taken to the Icebox, an isolated prison for mutant criminals. Meanwhile, Cable, a cybernetic soldier from the future, travels back in time to kill Russell. You know, it's funny though when they arrest him, I'm like, what are y'all gonna do to this guy? He can't die.
Right.
Like, so he could commit all kinds of crimes and be given 50,000 death sentences,
Mm-hmm.
and he'd just be like, okay,
Yeah. Well, as long as he got that collar on, though, he can technically die. But I mean, as soon
technically,
as it comes off, he would just heal back. So I mean,
right?
you know.
Cable storms the icebox and attacks Russell. Wade, whose collar breaks in the ensuing melee, attempts to protect Russell. After Cable takes Vanessa's token, Wade forces himself and Cable out of the prison, but not before Russell overhears Wade denying that he cares for him. Near death again, Wade has another vision of Vanessa in which she convinces him to help Russell. He organizes a team called X-Force to free Russell from a prison transfer convoy and protect him from Cable. The team launches its assault on the convoy by parachute, but all members die during the landing except for Wade and Domino, whose main superpower is claimed to be pure luck. While a fight with Cable distracts them, Russell frees fellow inmate Juggernaut, who agrees to help him kill the abusive orphanage headmaster. Juggernaut destroys the convoy, rips Wade in half, and escapes alongside Russell. Um, yeah, I'm going to use this time as a time to kind of show off this. I showed this to you pre-show.
Awesome.
Best Buy. I can't. It's yeah. There we go.
Oh, because that's
Best
like the
Best Buy
artwork that they do.
Steelbook.
Oh,
Get
that's
Juggernaut
cool.
with that.
Oh, must be nice.
This intermission's over. Um, while while Wade recovers, Cable offers to work with him and Domino to stop Russell from killing the headmaster. This Russell will then become a serial killer who slaughters his family. Wade accepts on the condition Cable gives him a chance to talk Russell down. At the orphanage, they're overpowered by Juggernaut while Russell pursues the headmaster. Colossus, having initially refused to help due to Wade's murderous ways, arrives to distract Juggernaut. Wade fails to placate Russell, forcing Cable to shoot at Russell. Wade leaps in front of the bullet while wearing the icebox collar and dies, reuniting with Vanessa in the afterlife. His sacrifice dissuades Russell from killing the headmaster and consequently saves Cable's family. Cable uses the last charge reserved for his return to warp back several minutes, strapping Vanessa's token in front of Wade's heart so he survives the bullet. Cable then decides to stay in the present for a while to help improve the world. knowing that his family will be safe in the future. Afterward, the headmaster's run over and killed by Wade's taxi driver friend, Dopinder. In a mid-credits sequence, Negasonic and her girlfriend Yukio repair Cable's time-traveling device for Wade. He uses it to save the lives of Vanessa and X-Force member Peter, as well as to kill both an alternate version of Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds after he finishes reading the screenplay for Green Lantern.
It's so good. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's so he goes, "You're welcome, Canada," which I don't really understand that part, but it's still good.
Yeah.
Not a lot of cameos that really aren't mentioned. That a lot of them you see and stuff like that. It gets talked about. He's wearing a Taylor Swift shirt, which further insinuates things of her being in the next one. He actually had a. I'm trying to see because there's a lot of. See blah. All right, that's about it. So at the beginning of it, when they're in the plane and he's talking to Peter, apparently we see Deadpool turn and he yells, "Lard, hit it." Nobody really understood that joke. So apparently, Laird or Lard is the costume department who helps Reynolds put his Deadpool costume on. And apparently, Reynolds rushed into a phone booth in one of these things, and he mentions Laird, and it's just a nod to his costume designer. And of course, Brad Pitt being the invisible guy, and all the Winter Soldier jokes with the metal arms.
And the Canadian reference is probably because Ryan Reynolds is from Canada.
Yeah.
So he probably feels like, Canada catches flack because he did Green Lantern.
Because he's the only one that makes movies out of there. So, but good movie. I gave this one a 4 out of 5. I love this movie.
Yeah. Same thing.
When Cable and Juggernaut are about to fight, Deadpool goes, "Oh man, here goes all of our budget money for just a CGI fight. Let's see how cool this is." It's just the stupid stuff like that. I love it, dude. It's so good.
I love how Colossus keeps trying to get him.
Yes.
Not to kill people, but then it's like in the meantime, Deadpool's getting ripped in half, and it's.
Dude, it's phenomenal.
At some point, you got to fight back.
Right. He said, "You can say, big guy, say that F word once. Just say it once." And he says, he goes, "Oh my God, you're going to hell." So I really hope he's in it. I haven't seen or confirmed anything that Colossus is in it. I'm sure he is, right?
Just me, or does it seem like they've really kept a lot of stuff quiet?
They have. Like there were some leaks that came out, but I haven't paid attention to any of that. But yeah, there's a lot of hush things. Oh, so speaking of Welcome to Wrexham, the Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney TV show about their soccer team.
Mm-hmm.
So Rob McElhenney, you sent me the link that he was going to be in it. Well, that came from Welcome to Wrexham because a whole segment of the show was him on set of Deadpool. And Ryan Reynolds was his voiceover. He says, doing what it is. He goes, "And I don't want to be killed by Kevin Feige." He says, "We are blurring and not talking anything about it, so we have no idea who he is." And it just shows a floating head walking through the set and stuff like that. You can't see because everything's blurred out. And it says, he had a costume mishap, and he's Rob McElhenney's playing one of the TVA agents because he had a TVA the little armor pack on underneath his big jacket. Mm-hmm. And he says, he goes, "That's not a giveaway though, because it could be this guy." And it goes to the trailer. It shows the trailer of the Deadpool movie. I was like, "Oh, this is a cool way to have a trailer inside the show and everything." And then Kevin Feige was at one of the games in Wrexham with them in their little owner's box. I was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool." So
yeah. No surprise, 4 stars from both of us. The other one got 4 stars from both of us. So
I've got high hopes for this next one.
Yeah, I mean it's eventually you worry that they'll have one that's so overhyped,
right,
that they won't be able to deliver.
I mean,
but
they haven't yet. So, I mean, it's
right.
Rob McElhenney and Maximal Efforts Productions know what they're doing, and now with the repertoire of Marvel and 100% Fox now.
Yeah.
Ho ho ho.
I do wonder if they'll keep up, because like in this one, for instance, and I can't remember if they did it in the first one. I think they did. The opening credits. It's no one's name. It's
Yeah.
just the guy who did this,
I
or
can't believe they did that in the first half of the movie. Wait, did he say it's a family movie? It's so good. Like they do such a good job with that.
Next week we're gonna review Logan.
Which I've also only seen
Along
once.
these same lines. Yeah. Same here. So it's time for a rewatch anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Notable news: Knives Out 3 is titled "Wake Up, Dead Man." Curious.
They've already started to tease out some people. Like I think they've announced one or two so far. I already forget who they are, but like they're all of them are big name, but I forget who it is at this point.
So I could be totally off base. I haven't looked into a lot of the Knives Out stuff. Um, but so the second one was Glass Onion.
Yes.
Glass Onion. If you're a music fan, probably you'd recognize it as a reference to a Beatles song.
Mm-hmm.
And then Wake Up, Dead Man. The Paul is Dead clues. So there was a song called Revolution 9 that they had on the White Album, and when you flipped the intro of this sound engineer saying number 9 over and over, in reverse, it sounds like "Turn Me On, Dead Man."
I wonder if it's a tongue
I
in cheek
wonder,
something.
maybe, I don't know. It's just it. I don't know.
So
It
they've
may
got,
not mean anything, but
they've got Callie Spaney, Josh O'Connor, Andrew Scott, Daniel Craig obviously coming back, Jeremy Renner, Mila Kunis, Glenn Close, Kerry Washington, and Daryl McCormick are all the ones confirmed. So
good
one of
cast.
Jeremy's first things since getting hurt.
Yeah,
So
it releases on Netflix in 2025. So,
which I feel like is, I mean, we're already halfway through 2024. So
yeah,
I feel like that's close.
right around the corner.
Right.
Giancarlo Esposito says his MCU role will be teased and there will be a series afterwards. He's playing a villain in Captain America Brave New World.
Mm-hmm. Who? Now, this is where the speculation starts coming. What villain is he going to play or it's going to make a series out of it?
And will it be a series for the villain or will
Right.
it be a series that the villain is in?
Right. So it's just poor guy can't get away from playing the villain, which I'm sure he doesn't mind doing.
Could it be a recasting of Red Skull? I mean, that's the Captain America villain.
So I mean, I don't know. This is all developing kind of quickly. I could have swore they were already done with Brave New World filming, but you know, here we are. So,
well, I mean, they could be done, and maybe it was kept so under wraps that they're teasing this out.
Yeah,
I don't know. Mike Flanagan has been confirmed to be writing, directing, and producing the next Exorcist movie, which will take the franchise in a new direction.
I'm all for it. I need to watch his other stuff, but
they the first version of the franchise kind of got out of hand. A lot of the movies weren't really that great. And then they recently had one that was supposed to take the franchise forward. What was it called?
Didn't they just recently have a series like on Hulu?
No, they recently had this movie, and it's essentially the two girls that are possessed, but it happens in the same universe. I'm blanking on the name of the film. Not the greatest. They had a lot of wasted opportunities there. So I think this is probably them going, all right, let's
get
this on track.
Board.
Yeah.
I need to
start watching. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, we got to get you watching more and more and more horror.
Well, the thing with Mike Flanagan, I'm a big Rahul Kohli fan. and because he's a big gamer and does a whole bunch of stuff with like a lot of the people that we watch on YouTube.
Right.
And I meant to put this in here, but I forgot to. If it wasn't Pedro Pascal playing Dr. Reed Richards, Rahul Kohli was the next up. Came out in an interview, and I would have been all in for that. And honestly, I feel like I would prefer that to Pedro Pascal, but that's a personal preference, I think, at this point. Because Rahul Kohli is so cool.
So, just to kind of run down some of Mike Flanagan's prior properties that people may be more familiar with. Let's see, he did do did Absentia, The Life of Chuck, which starred Tom Hiddleston. He did Ouija, Origin of Evil. He did The Haunting of Hill House, which ran on Netflix. He did the film version of the Stephen King novel Gerald's Game. He Doctor Sleep, the long-awaited sequel to The Shining.
I don't know.
He's also doing The Haunting of Bly Manor, which is another series. Did Midnight Mass, and also The Fall of the House of Usher.
Oh, which is not out yet. Or is that out? Yeah, that's out.
Yeah.
Oh, God, there's so many I want to watch. Where do I find the time to watch everything?
You just got to quit your job, that's all.
Yeah, I'll just do this full time. You know, I'm sure the wife and children would love not having health insurance.
You have to start advertising Patreon even more.
Yeah, just every other sentence. Hey, by the way, have you heard?
All right, releases this week. The Watchers is in cinemas on June the 7th. As is, Hitman comes out June 7th on Netflix. And Bad Boys 4 is in cinemas in the U.S. on June 7th. The U.K. gets it 2 days early on June 5th, so they'll get to be disappointed 2 days before the rest of us.
They'll follow up. They'll be whoever's going to see them. Man, movie theaters are too expensive to watch movies now, and
well, you've got to make sure it's something that's going to be epic to see on the big screen.
Money's worth. So
yeah, I mean, who's he gonna slap this time? No,
right. They're still making them.
They're still making them.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening and watching this week's episode of the Nerdwide podcast. Really hope you enjoyed it and enjoyed listening to our takes and perspectives on everything we watched. Don't forget to share it on your favorite social media platforms, and forget to rate and review this podcast on whatever podcasting service you do use. It helps us get us up on the charts, gets more ears in on here, and gets us better quality things for you guys. On social media, you can follow the Nerdwide account literally anywhere. If you're on the YouTube side of things, you can see it down posted below. We're on Twitter at Nerd_Wide, Facebook Nerdwide Podcast, and then Instagram and Threads just Nerdwide. We're always there, so just make sure you're following up with us there. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening and watching. We cannot wait to talk to you next week about Logan, and then our 2 episodes of X-Men 97 and My Adventures with Superman. But until next time, we'll see you then.
Later, guys.